Welcome to the Grown Up Group. This is a podcast of regular people tackling the world from a Black perspective. Today we are having a discussion. I'm here with my girl Kira and I'm Ty. The other members couldn't join us, but you will see them in the next video, right? You know, we all
Right.
busy with life. You know that. So today's topic, relationships with other ethnic groups. So let's dive into that. What's your thoughts on that, Kira?
My thoughts on that, every time I think about how the way they treat us, like we're the minorities and like we come from another place. I want to say it's a sad situation and it pisses me off sometimes because now I know how people went over there to their country and they brainwashed them. So when they come to America, or whatever, when it comes to the States, and when you see a Black American, we're just so ghetto because that's how they portray us to be.
Yeah.
They portray us to be ghetto, wild, violent animals, and like that. So when they come over here and they're around us, we want a relationship with them. I would love to have other friends from different places and countries and learn about their culture and things like that. But then, so this is what I was saying to someone one day. They come over here, they treat us like crap, whatever, and they act like they better than us because it's a couple of times I'm just like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like you running my feet over with your shopping cart and things like that. But so then this is what I was telling someone because they are brainwashed to treat us the way they do when they come over here. I feel like they purposely tick us off so that we can get loud and rowdy so they can be like, yep, see, that is exactly what we was told and that is exactly what we was taught or whatever. Because if you come over here, I mean, and you rolling my toes over with your cart, or if you bumping into me or you cuss me out, I feel like, okay, say excuse me, say sorry or whatever. And they look at you like you're beneath me. So do you want me to say, you know what? You couldn't say excuse me. And I know you know how to say excuse me. I know you know how to say sorry. I know you, if you don't know no other English word, you know those words or whatever.
All right.
But you just feel like, I'm not going to say sorry to you. So now you're going to say, oh, look at her. She acting like an animal. She's acting crazy or whatever. When there was no need for that, when you was just purposely being rude to me or
Mhm.
whatever. So that's my take on relationships with minorities.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I've experienced both ends of that. I've experienced racial issues and I've had like some of the best friends from other countries and other places. And, it's kind of crazy. One of my best friends is actually from the UK and like, she's a white woman, white. And we hit it off. Like, we had something in common. She just had a baby. And I started talking to her because I had, children at that time. And she just was like, I don't know how you do it with multiple kids. And I was like, girl, let me tell you, this is Hicks a Village. You got to call your family. You got to, make sure you have your appointments. You got to kind of put planning ahead. Like we do this job every day. You got to kind of apply that daily family life like a job. It's technically a
Right.
job. And we hit it off. We were besties. Even to this day, like it's now been like almost 20 years and we still have a great relationship. Not only that, I have a lot of people that, interacted with that's Latinas and, Afro Latina. And we have some great relationships and we have some that's really tumultuous. And I'm like, I don't trust that bitch. Like,
Right.
let's
Right.
just be honest. Like, let's be honest.
Right.
Because you never know, especially what you up to or what they saying. You change your language every time I come around. That's suspect. When
Right.
you got something to say that's a little undermining to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm smarter than that, and I caught on to what you said. Even poquito español, like I understand little Spanish words, so I'm like, I picked that up. I see the sneak this. I caught that.
Right.
But I think when it comes down to it, is that I hope that we can get to a point where we have a common ground, which is just to survive every day in this world. I know a lot of people don't look at that and be like, okay, this is, what it is. But I hope we could do better as a society, as American citizens. I hope we're all into a fight to become better every single day. And I'm not just talking
Yeah.
about like, just in relationships, but I'm talking about mental, emotional. I'm talking about all of it because at the end of the day, we gotta move around each other. We need each other to a degree. So I'm like, yeah, even with the foolishness that's going on right now politically,
Right.
you got the black side, you got the white side, and at the end of the side, at the end of them, both sides of it, it's like, they're here. But I'm like, we all are here in the middle. Like we're all intermingled because we're all middle class or lower class, and we're trying to survive this economy and all of the things and turmoil that's been put in place by all of these political officials
Right.
throughout the last 10, 20 years. And it's like now we doomed, so I hope that we all come together and have some common ground to actually
Right.
get along with each other because it sucks if we don't, it really sucks if we don't. I also grew up, and this is crazy. I grew up with uncles that my dad worked with that he would always say, your Uncle Tommy, your Uncle Gary. And, we looked at them with such high regard and respect because we went on fishing trips, vacations together. And
Right.
these were white men and women and their families and their sons had crushes on me and my sisters, and we had crushes
Right.
on them. And so it was like this whole dynamic of, family and camaraderie that was always surrounding me. But I always knew, come on, common sense, there was an
Mhm.
opposite side of that because you would see it when my dad would go do something and he would be questioned or followed in stores and when we were
Right.
on vacation, and then they would do it and they would be doing the same thing and they wouldn't even approach them. And then having them kind of like back my dad, like, why are you talking to him? Stop
Right.
talking to him. And it would be that simple to be like, I'm a white man. Stop talking to my friend
Right.
that's black. And they would just back off, like, sorry about that, sir. We didn't know y'all were together. You know what I mean? And it would be
Right.
crazy to me as a kid because you see that and you're like, damn, they would still be like putting my father in a chokehold, like, following him and, interrogating him. So I grew up kind of seeing both ends of it, but it made me
Right.
super hyper aware of and acknowledge what was the true definition behind that. It let me be aware of racism. It let me be aware of different personalities and how to
Right.
handle those situations and scenarios. And it also made me call people out when they're shit at the
Right.
end of the day, because why are you following me? What is your issue? Why did you single me out? What about me makes you think that I got shit in my pockets? It ain't nothing in your store that I can't afford. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I would make those bold statements and they'd be like, okay, all right. And I it even made me look up the laws. So, and I don't know if people know this, but if you stop me, and I don't care if you're in a Walmart corner store, you stop me on the premise that I stole from you and I have nothing of yours in my possession, you're going to speak to my lawyer next because I need
Mhm.
half of your money that you're making out of your store right now.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Right. Right.
Because there's
No,
repercussions to everything. And I think I think that people have this understanding like, oh, they're not going to pursue it. They're not going to pursue us. They're not going to sue us. They're not going to
right.
make it accountable. They're not going to make us accountable by our actions because they're used to Black people not fighting for ourselves and not fighting for our rights
Right.
and not being aware of what the laws are. And that's why I always tell them, I even educate my kids. I'm like, look that up. Make sure you do your research. If a police officer stop you, you put your hands on the steering wheel, you ask them the specific questions, you roll your window down, you make sure you address them in the most polite tone as possible. Not that saying that, people that have become fatalities haven't done those things because I've
Right.
seen video where they have. But
Right.
and that frightens me because then it lets me know that people are just trigger, finger happy, and that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there's rules and laws, but people have to be accountable for their actions. That's what I was getting to. People have to be accountable for their actions.
Right.
And the more that we call them out on it, the more they will shy away from doing that and making us like feel embarrassed to just be existing on
Right.
this planet. Because that's terrible. It's
Right.
terrible to live in a situation where you're like, okay, I know that this is gonna happen no matter where I am in this world. And that shouldn't be the normal. It really shouldn't be the norm. So what do you feel about that when you're faced with like racial like discrimination or racial like confrontation? Do you call them out on it or do you shy away from it and be like, let me get the hell out of the situation because I don't want other problems?
I mean, in today's day and age, I will call them out on it, but then I'm kind of iffy because, and I'm just like, I don't know, it's because my fear of what I'm seeing on TV and social media. Um, I'm going to call you out on it, and I would definitely take precautions. Like my friend always said, if somebody do something to you, you so petty, you go right. You goddamn right, because I'm not gonna let nobody. But then I'm just like, I'm afraid of somebody coming after me. I'm afraid of somebody coming after my family, my children. But then I'm just like, no, like you said, you got to do it. You got to make an example out of one of them, and then everybody else follows suit or whatever. Like, oh no, look, we can't do it like this, because if we do it like this, then we can get sued and this will happen. So I'm just trying to be cautious of my surroundings with situations like that. But it just seems like, and I don't want to blame COVID, and I don't want to blame, I mean, I am going to blame COVID, and I am going to blame politics, because it's like it's happening a lot lately. It's happening more than the norm.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's happening more than the norm. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? Like, is it something in the air? And it's even with our people also, or whatever. And I'm just like, especially other black minorities, and they're like, ugh. So I'm just like, what's going to happen? Like, how can we get along? I used to always ask myself when I was younger, why can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
This world is such a happy place, butterflies and flowers all over the place. And it just be so cool. But then now as I'm getting older, I'm like, would the world be worse if we all got along?
No, it's such a hard dynamic, and I'll even say it myself. You know, you said that, and I just was like, oh, I gotta check myself sometimes, because sometimes I'm racist. I'm racist to my own people, especially if I see she got flip flops on and the hair bonnet, and I'm like, why she in Walmart looking like that? Come on, man, that makes a stereotype, and I hate that. I hate those type of stereotypes. But in the same breath, I'm like, I would never leave my house, but that's just me. That's me and my as a person. But you know, should I be shunning the next person that feel comfortable enough to do that? Absolutely not. I shouldn't be, but I do it because I'm like, what's she doing? What's she doing? What's she doing? Where's she going looking like that? Why? Why? But it's specific to who I am as a person. I do acknowledge that, but I still shouldn't do it to others. You know, treat others like you want to be treated. If I was, you know, in a situation when I'm dressed a particular way, that doesn't mean I'm a thief. That doesn't mean that I'm not a wholesome person. And I think sometimes when immediately outward appearance is easy to judge compared to an internal, you know what I mean, judgment. You can't see somebody's on the inside. Like, you can't see their insides as fast as you can see their outsides. So I think that's where it comes down to. We're so like, I want to say hypocrites, because if somebody did that to me, I'd be like, bitch, what? And then it's like I do it to other people. I'm like, it's fine, it's the norm. This is my own people. Like, no, I shouldn't be doing it to anybody, just like they shouldn't be doing it to me. But we you know, we creatures of habit. I'll never forget my mom. The way my mom raised us was, you know, you make sure that you're well put together. You know, I'm not gonna go nowhere, and I'm not gonna have a scarf and, you know, a bonnet on my head. I'm not gonna have, like, I might have flip flops on, but I'm gonna make sure I got that pedicure and I got lotion on my feet. I'm gonna make sure I'm put together. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna over go nowhere and just homeless is the option. I leave my house every morning looking homeless. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I be having a scully on my head, a hoodie. I look like I'm about to go jump and rob somebody. I don't know why I look like that in the morning, but I'm like, it's early morning. It's 4 a.m. when I leave. So and then I put myself together on the bus before I get off. So go figure. Like, audacity. I'm like, what am I talking about? Like, you know, I gotta call myself out on my shit. I'm like, no, that's not always the case, but you know, for the most part, whenever I do leave my home, I try my best to look my best. So we gotta kind of get out of that whole racial profiling that we're doing with our own selves. Like, you know, you just said it, like, you know, what do your judgment when you go on a line and you see somebody with a grocery cart full of groceries, and I don't care if they Spanish, white, black, you immediately see that grocery cart filled to the top with my 5 items, and I'm like, they got that EBT card, because ain't no way in hell. And I do judge. I be like, they got that EBT. I wish I could borrow $100 off that EBT card. My cart would be full too. But I be hating. That's low key hating. I be low key hating. So I'm like, damn, I gotta pay this $500 for my groceries, while their groceries over there, like, you know, just swipe of a card, my tax dollars. Damn it. You know what I mean? But that's why I said it. I'm like, we can't all get along if we all had the same, I want to say, rights and privileges. If we had the same common ground, if we all had the same commonality. I
Right.
know that we all want love in this world. I know we all want something, and we have these expectations of others, even if they owe to us or not. We still have it. It's just, the human element that we want. What we want is kind of like that animalistic quality that we have. But I'm always comparing what the next man can have easier than what I can have. And maybe I should get out of that. There's good experiences that people have and there's bad experiences.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's a full whirlwind, it really
And
is, depending on what you're stepping into in the
right.
situation.
And people just take that one bad experience and you judge the whole race. You judge the whole race. Like
Yeah.
I've seen videos where they just assume like, oh, because it's a black person, oh, they're gonna steal whatever. Or if it's a black, I watched a video when there was a lady in the store and she was screaming, her boyfriend was arguing. But when you look at the comments, of course, all the W people like, oh, well, that's what happens when you're stealing. Oh, well, that's what happens when you're not getting treated right by your parents. Oh, and that's it. And I'm just like,
These
read
excuses for them, right?
exactly. I'm like, read what it says. It says how her boyfriend was in there arguing and security was trying to put them out. It says nothing about stealing. Oh, because that's what they all do. No, that's not what we all do. We
Yeah.
all a lot of us work for our money. A lot of us work for whatever we have, or whatever. All of us aren't thieves. All of us aren't liars, or whatever. All of us aren't junkies, or whatever. Because we're not the only ones. They're out there junkies too.
Yeah.
They're out
And
there.
that's that you just said it. I'm like, everybody got that in their nationalities. So like when I look at the ethnic groups and I'm like, we could pull up some percentages and be like, look,
Right,
there's a percentage in jail, there's a percentage down drugs, there's a percentage that's homeless, there's a percentage, like, it's not all just black people. Like, it's not
right.
just all Latinos, it's not all, white, it's not all we're all mixed bag of everything. That's why I said we have so many things in common, all it takes is a conversation, and all you got to do is open your mouth and start it, like, and not just black people, not just white people. I have friends in multiple groups. I have friends that I hate, that's black, white, Spanish, and I have
Right.
people, I wouldn't even call them
Exactly.
friends. I got frenemies and I got enemies, and I got people
Right.
that are friends that are like all nationalities. So I think it just has to be in the mindset of an individual. I think we have to stop getting in our own way with a race cart all the time. But you said it best when you said the political. You can blame the political, because what do we have right now with Kamala and Donald? We see that right now. That's currently what happens. Do you go to one side because she's just a black woman? You'd love to
Right.
see a black leader in place, and I'm not that, like, I'm like so superficial. I'm like, she black, I'm on her side. I gotta hear the
Right.
points. I gotta hear the talking points. You gotta sell me on what I'm buying. You know what I mean? Really. And I'm like, and
Exactly.
Donald, whew, his last debate, crazy. They eating the cats and dogs. I'm just like, where in the hell is he going off this planet? Like, I I'm gonna be convinced, and that's both sides. His white skin color is not changing my, perspective any faster. You know what I mean? I do want to
Right.
say I do want to say Kamala's facial expressions during that debate, the whole entire debate.
Oh my
I
God.
couldn't stop watching her facial expressions because her look alone just was like moron, 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 moron. And I was like, I am in right there, because as she was making them faces and I was hearing him, I was making those same faces. And I'm like, I get it. Like, you got to make it make sense. Why am I picking your name? Why am I checking that box on your side? Like, dude, get it together. Like, convince me. And all he was doing was bashing
Bashing.
and
That's all he
bullying
does.
the
That's
other
all he
perspective,
does.
the other candidate. And I'm just like, oh, and everything was Biden. It wasn't necessarily Kamala. He was doing a lot of things that Biden put in place, and he said it. Oh, she didn't do nothing. You're right. She hasn't done anything.
Mhm.
So that's why I need her to convince me what she gonna do when she get there. And
Right.
I do like the health perspective, because that's an issue with everybody. Like, we
But
can't make doctor's appointments right now. But you look at the economy, look at the grocery bill, look at the medical bills. All of that needs to be lessened. It's not necessarily a black and white race to me, and
right.
because of the stupidity of both individuals. And I'm like, Some of the things that Kamala is talking about too, was a little bit of the finger pointing, and I ain't care for that either.
Right,
I'm just like, stand true to what your grounds are and what you're building and your policies. Talk to us about it because we really got to get to know you. We don't know
right,
what you were able to do. You're a vice president in office now, and she's quiet while she's there. The border patrol and border issues that's
right,
come up, and I'm like, I watch those commercials and I'm just like, it's now become more of a black and white and finger pointing, and I just don't care to hear
right,
none of that. I'm like,
right.
just you got to convince me why. So can we get along? Can we all live in a society where we acknowledge that we're all doomed if we don't get it together or pull it together? And a lot of this, I'll shoot you, if you're standing on my property, we don't want to listen to the next race and the next, have that communication and open dialogue. Everybody's
Right.
beneath me. We really got to wake up and get our own way. We really do.
We do.
Crazy.
We definitely do. We
It's
definitely
crazy.
do.
Is there anything that you think would stop that?
You know what? At this point, I don't know. I'm just looking at everybody and I'm just like, how can we stop it? Like, what can we do to stop it? Like, I mean, and if it is a way, I know it's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of time because this is a big mess that
Big
has to be
mess.
cleaned up, whatever. And I'm just like, I just pray to the gods above that I'm here to see it because who wouldn't want to see it
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever? Like, come on.
World peace, and focus on
It,
what real issues we have. Let's tackle homelessness. Let's tackle, taxes. Let's tackle economy and high rates. Let's tackle the things that really mean something to us as people,
right,
collectively. Let's look at, all of the violence in the world. Let's see what's going on and why we gotta, have our inner cities look, so much violence and crime.
uh,
And let's look at our white suburban areas where there's violence and crime too. We tackled, the school shootings last week, and we were speaking on how all of the urban schools have all of the protection and the safety and security there and padded down, and metal detectors. Why we can't get that in white schools and then have them go through the same safety precautions that we have? It shouldn't be so one-sided where it's like, oh well, we got to make sure that they're in check, and then they don't have the checks and balances for the next ethnic groups. So yeah, I want
right,
to I want to call everybody out. It's my fault, it's your fault, it's
right,
everybody's fault. We got to get out our own heads and think we're better than other people when we all have come to, I'm going to say it, we all have come to, America. This ain't your
right,
land. This ain't my land. It's everybody's
right.
land right now because we stole it from other people. Let's be honest. So we need to acknowledge that first, and that would probably be a lot of the parts that humble everybody to be like,
Right,
okay, now we got to just figure out how we're going to survive on this earth or this
right,
America that we have, that we have to live in. Because other countries are doing it. Other countries have found a way to cut all of that nonsense out and the racism and the police. You don't hear about police shootings in those other places. You don't hear about the violence in the other places. It's so
right.
crazy. My girlfriend went to Paris, right? And they romanticize the hell out of Paris, right?
Yeah,
Everybody, Paris, 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 beautiful, beautiful. But there's a ghetto in Paris, and it's right by
and they
Eiffel
said it's
Tower.
horrible.
Yeah, it is right by the Eiffel
Yeah,
Tower. They will do rob still and all of that stuff there, but it's not publicized. It's not
right,
on the news every minute of the day. That's why you don't hear that in Paris, because other countries don't put a highlight and publicize in the media as much as we do in America. Because they're like, who wants to broadcast the negativity? We're the
right,
only nation that does that. It's kind of crazy. They have it, they acknowledge it, but they don't go in and be like, oh, on tonight's news, this person got robbed, this person got armed, this person got there's so many different things
right,
that they don't put on display. And we need to be the same way. We need to
right,
be a little bit more private about what's happening in this country. Not that we don't want to acknowledge it. We want to put those safety precautions in place, but maybe not highlight it and have everybody living in fear. That's it
right.
right there.
And,
Have everybody.
and I stopped watching the news for, I mean, maybe going on about 10 years. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
although we still have social media, and I still see it on social media now because social media I wasn't as heavy on social media some years ago
Yeah, yeah.
as I am now. But I stopped watching the news because I'm like, this is freaking depressing. This is
Yes.
depressing. Every day on the news, dying, like you said, dying, killing, or
Yeah,
this
yeah.
happened, that happened. You can't even go to the city. Somebody throwing furniture off of a freaking Empire State Building, and you're afraid that if you walk and you got to walk like this the whole time to make sure it's nothing like. So I'm like, I can't watch the news no more because it's messing with my mental or whatever. And that's even like, even in our own state, all you hear is Newark, 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 Newark. You don't hear the other bad cities, what they doing over there, but all you hear is Newark, 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 Newark. So now I'm here and I'm just like, it's other cities that
Britain, you name it, like Patterson, like oh, there's so many other areas in Newark and New
right,
Jersey that's just as bad, but they don't publicize it as much. They make New
right,
Jersey sound like Newark sound like it's the absolute worst, and it's not. It's not the
and it's
case,
not, and it's not. So I'm just like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'll
But you
turn
know what? I think that's the local news. That's why the local news highlights all of the violence and all the criminal
right.
things. But I wonder if we stop talking about the violence and all the problems that's happening, murders and all whatever it may be. Like, what else would they be able to talk about?
Exactly.
It's
And
like
you
a
know what?
constant let them live in fear kind of mentality, and that should not be the way that we live.
Right,
Shouldn't be.
right,
Yeah.
right. And they definitely got a sister living in fear because I'm just like, you know what? Maybe if I go to, maybe if I go move to Trenton because I've been to Trenton and it just look like I'm
Not
like,
better over
okay,
there either. That's all I'm about to say. Not better over there either. Like that's definitely not, the answer. But
right.
yeah,
But
they got to figure it
you
out. They
go
really
down
do.
here and but you don't hear about it on the news and be like, maybe it's not that bad. But then you go
Yeah,
down there and you're like, I'm gonna go back up here and whatever, or go
yeah,
somewhere else, or go a little further down South Jersey and things like that. So
yeah. It's true. So I want to thank you, Kira, for your thoughts because I feel the same way. I feel that we need an immediate change. We need, I want to say some of our politicians to kind of step up and put an end to all of this racial, discrimination and
right,
hating the next race in order to come ahead. And like that shouldn't be what is the primary focus right now. It should really be us collectively as a people trying to figure out how to fix the economy and really work on the views of like mental, emotional stability and health. And we should be talking about insurances and making the world a better place and making sure that the job market is, safe place for us to be at. Like also I'm gonna say mental and emotional there too, because Lord
right.
Jesus, you can walk into a job and lose your whole, shit. Like, this is being honest. Yeah. So
Exactly.
we need to really sit back as a people as well as a society and a country and figure out what is we want to sit back in this country and really come to a conclusion on what we really need to do to get together and make things better in the world for us to live and
Right,
be able to function. And without that, we can't. Like we really can't. We have to sit down and be
right,
able to have a conversation. And not maybe some of the politicians that they have, maybe they don't even come to a decision. Maybe they need to come out and ask the common man and say, hey, what is your primary issues, or what do you see that we need to
right,
improve first? The economy first, and then we need to make sure that we are able to live in that economy. I think with the workplace, increases of jobs and salaries will improve a lot of the things in the economy that we can't afford right now today. We won't have to
right,
pick and choose. We won't have to sit here and make a decision, health insurance over, food. That's
right,
crazy to me.
right,
Like,
right.
that's why we eating cat and dogs, that's why we eating cat and dogs in Springfield. So
You know what I said? I would not be going there and eating their Chinese food for real. That's a place
yeah,
that I would scratch it off my visiting list and be like, "Ooh, I wonder." Never mind, because different places where I visit, I'm always because I'm such a Chinese food person. I love my
yeah, I love
Chinese food,
Chinese food. I do too.
and I'm just like, okay, if I go to Chicago, I wonder how their Chinese food going to taste. If I go to Georgia, I wonder how theirs going to taste. I always wonder, like, okay, Georgia's supposed to be. I mean, not supposed to be. Georgia is the country, so
Yeah.
people say whatever, and I
Mhm.
want to hear like the Chinese people, the Asian people, their talk. I want to
Mhm.
see if they have an accent. I want to see how their food tastes. But then I'm just like, when he said that, okay, I'll make sure like do not put that on the list to go to
Right.
and try their food, like because
Yeah.
he was wild for that.
Yeah, yeah. cultural appropriation too. So it's like, one Chinese place is not like every other Chinese place.
Right,
I've been in Chinese places with like authentic Chinese, and you're like, I don't even know what
right.
the heck I'm tasting. But you're like, this is what they say General Tao chicken tastes like. That's what their chicken tastes like in one place, and then another place, you're like, oh man, this is very ginger forward. So it's like everybody changes
Uh,
their recipes and what it is.
right.
But yeah, it's kind of crazy seeing everything. So cultural appropriation is basically taking somebody else's culture and saying, hey, I appreciate it and I value it for this reason. You just so happen to like Chinese food and you just go every from place to place and be like, oh, I gotta appreciate it and see what the
Right,
differences is no matter where you land. And that's understandable. It really is.
right.
Um, I'm thankful for our conversation. If you're listening and watch this podcast, I would love to know what your experiences are with other ethnic groups as well as the ethnicities out there. Because there could be there could be some good experiences and there could be some bad experiences. And we just love to hear from you exactly what it is that you've experienced. Did you grow up with mixed family, biracial family, or were you all black or were you all white? And how's your friendship group? Like, are you mixed? Are you guys like, all encompassing of everything? We'd love to know.
Mhm.
So just drop us a comment in the thing and let us know exactly how you feel about our discussion. Let us know also if you're one of those people that self-hate on your own race, because I gotta say, when you said it, Kira, I just was like, damn, that kind of hit me because I was like, I do that sometimes. I'll be looking at sisters love up and down, like, what you doing? And I gotta stop that. I gotta make myself mentally aware of what it is that I'm actually, doing and put a stop to that madness because I can't do that to my own people. Damn, I
Right.
can't do that to my own kind. It could be my own sister sometime, and I'll be looking at her too. I'll be like, well, if mommy could see her now, she'd choke her out.
Side eye all sisters.
I know, right? I can. So thank you guys for joining the grown up group. I'm again here with Kira and I'm Ty. And thank you for watching. Don't like, share, or subscribe. We want you to do what you want with it. And we'd appreciate you. We appreciate you greatly for watching it. So we'll talk to you and see you later in the next episode. Bye.